Hello, I'm Grayson Ottaway. Welcome back. This is Marvelous Videos. Simon Saint, an evil Steve Jobs of Gotham City. DC has created a world that turns the older status quo on its head. This is a time when Bruce Wayne is not the richest guy in Gotham City anymore, thanks, but no thanks, to the Joker War and the Joker swindling $100 billion out of Batman. As a result, Batman has a hard time funding his crusade against crime in Gotham City. Meanwhile, another billionaire enjoys ample power within the city, Simon Saint, a tech genius and mogul with a grand vision for the future. It is clear that the writers took heavy inspiration from Steve Jobs for Simon Saint. A similar appearance with the black turtleneck, bald head, and glasses, alongside the speeches full of splendor that points towards better times to come, cements Simon's status as a character inspired by Jobs. But one thing separates Simon Saint from the man who inspired him. Simon is actually quite terrible and evil, to the point that the ruthless businessman was using someone like Scarecrow to fulfill his purpose. And that is what today's video is about. Before we go into our explanation, a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to this channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Simon Saint's evil origin. The DC Comics have wrapped up their Dark Knight, Death Metal, and Future State eras. Now it looks towards the new world of the Infinite Frontier, which begins with Wonder Woman being offered to be a part of the Quintessence, the highest order of being in the multiverse who overlook everything that takes place. In this new multiverse of the Infinite Frontier, Gotham City is not what you may remember it as. The place has succumbed to crime completely, and no matter how glorious Batman is, it is all just too much for him. The Joker War saw the Joker winning over Batman and making him go bankrupt, and the Gotham City Police Department is not efficient enough to go against a bunch of super criminals. This is where Simon Saint comes in. He finds an audience in the city's mayor, Christopher Nakano, and proposes his idea of the Magistrate to him, which is a program that we will go over soon. But before we get into what the program is, let's go over who Simon Saint truly is and how he came to be. Starting with the Infinite Frontier comic issue number 0, written by James Tynion IV and Jorge Jimenez, Simon Saint makes his storyline debut in here. However, he has been present as a prominent antagonist character in previous comics. It's just that we get to see his start in this comic. Here, the man he is speaking with is none other than the Scarecrow himself, also known as Dr. Jonathan Crane. Scarecrow is a notorious villain who instills fear among people by using his fear toxins, and it looks like Simon Saint and Scarecrow are part of the same plan, a plan that requires all of Gotham City to become a victim of mass hysteria. The 2016 Batman comics shed more light upon Simon Saint as we learn about where he hails from. The 106th issue witnesses the character giving his monologue as he caresses his pet doves. Born and raised in Gotham City, Simon Saint relocated to Silicon Valley to build his tech company known as Saint Industries. Even though he was a businessman and a billionaire like Bruce Wayne, or ex-billionaire for Wayne, his beginnings were humble. Simon was raised in a rundown area of Gotham that preceded the city's rampant industrialization, and he idolized one man, Dr. Thomas Wayne, Gotham's richest man who dedicated himself to work as a physician. The panels soon pan to Simon Saint emphasizing on the present of Gotham. Gotham is a city that no outsider wants to live in, and why would they? The crime is terrifying, the villains are downright crazy, and recently Arkham Asylum has been blown up. With Batman's wealth incapacitated and the Gotham City Police Department being suited to handle nothing beyond petty crime, Simon believes that it was time for a change. Simon had spent 2 decades dreaming of bringing Saint Industries to Gotham City as its CEO, and here we get to see him living his dream. However, his intentions are far from being limited to regular dreams and ambitions, as he has developed the Magistrate program to replace vigilantes and upgrade the Gotham City Police Department. The high-tech cybernetic models can be manned by humans, allowing the regular people to have power that can rival and exceed Batman's. And it is quite clear that Gotham City is slipping, or rather has already slipped, out of Batman's grasp. And with such situations in place, Simon pitches his project to Mayor Christopher Nakano, who finds the business model to be quite compelling as someone who hates Batman and the Bat family because of their status as masked vigilantes. With his money, he has hired Scarecrow to be his ally, as he needs the entire city to panic with fear, since it is the one thing that would help loosen Batman's grip on the citizens once and for all, prompting them to seek out a new solution. But considering the state of affairs, Scarecrow does not even need his toxins to scare people. Blowing up Arkham Asylum and subsequently allowing the surviving lunatics to run free are enough. However, no one knows who's behind the accident. With Bane's death and the usage of poisonous gases, the word on the street is that the Joker is the one behind this massacre. Meanwhile, a sadistic security guard from Arkham, known as Sean Mahoney, has sacrificed himself to save people in Arkham, but the explosion has rendered Sean disabled and confined to a wheelchair. Across the city, dummies of Scarecrow start to pop up here and there to accelerate the fear and panic amongst the people of Gotham. Meanwhile, a younger collective known as the Unsanity Collective is on the rise. They pose as a threat in the series, but are only being used as a scapegoat by Simon Saint and Scarecrow. The collective operated on an ideology that blurred the lines between sanity and insanity. The prominent undertones of anarchy made them the perfect choice to be thrown under the bus. In the 107th issue, Batman watches the news where they talk about 100 days having passed since the Arkham Asylum explosion, which is referred to as A-Day in DC. Soon, Batman finds the dummy of a Scarecrow who is presumably dead from the explosion and the poisonous gas, at least according to news outlets. On the other end, Simon Saint has been invited by the mayor for the A-Day Memorial to honour Sean Mahoney for his contributions in saving some patients from Arkham Asylum. Soon, Scarecrow appears in front of Simon and provokes him to continue with their plans to escalate the panic within the citizens. In the 108th issue, Simon Saint and his assistant Ricardo attend the memorial, where they set their eyes on Sean Mahoney. With his personal files being destroyed from the Arkham Asylum explosion, Simon's team is coming up with a new, compelling backstory for Mahoney, because they want Mahoney to don their body armor suits from the Magistrate and replace Batman once and for all. It's necessary to have a story that the people of Gotham will like. Later, Sean Mahoney is taken to Simon's office. He is then shown the wonders of the Magistrate, which can help him get back on track as a non-disabled human being once again. When he sees Ricardo's cybernetic enhancements and the body armor he'll be sporting, Sean does not say no. Soon he undergoes the grueling and painful procedure to become Peacekeeper One and replace Batman as Gotham's so-called protector. Meanwhile, Batman and the Oracle have investigated the explosion and learned that the Scarecrow's dead body in the asylum is a dummy. This clearly gives away Jonathan Crane's involvement. By analyzing the other DNA samples in the dummy, they are able to pinpoint the other one who was involved in the fiasco, Simon Saint. In the 109th issue, Batman storms into Saint Industries and demands to know Scarecrow's location from Simon. Ricardo comes in to fight Batman, but despite the enhancements, he is no match for Batman. Simon wastes no time in letting Batman know that he is yesterday's news, while the future looks towards his Magistrate, and soon he brings in Sean Mahoney, or Peacekeeper One. Batman and Sean fight, and unfortunately, Batman cannot keep up with the Magistrate. So far, Batman thinks that Scarecrow is the real culprit, but soon he realizes that Simon is just using Scarecrow's name as a crutch, especially when the City Hall blows up after Simon says it will, which is interesting if you think about the Simon Says game, where Simon says something, resulting in the person having to do it. So when Simon says the City Hall will blow up, the City Hall actually blows up. Anyway, Batman also realizes that Simon is trying to frame the Unsanity Collective for his actions by referring to them as problematic anarchists who are causing chaos within the city. Soon, he alerts the Oracle about it, while Simon talks about how, after taking care of the Unsanity Collective and putting Scarecrow behind bars, he will shift his attention towards taking care of the mayor's primary target, the Bat family. In the 110th issue, the city is in chaos. The mayor allows Simon Saint to dispatch the Magistrate to the field, which makes the others suspicious, as he is seen giving Simon Saint too much power way too quickly. But the mayor reasons by alluding to the state of affairs. They are not aware of Simon being the marionette behind these events and think the Scarecrow is doing this to stop Joker. And with the green signal from the mayor, Simon releases his Magistrate program. Finally, he and Sean Mahoney gear up to eradicate the Unsanity Collective. What makes Simon Saint so evil? Simon Saint does not need any fighting chops, fear gas, toxins, or insanity to be an extremely evil man. We have seen him constantly push the blame upon others and throw top-shot villains like Scarecrow under the bus for his financial benefit. In a city where the villains are going against each other for glory and pride, Simon Saint is a simple man. He has his ambitions with reference to his wealth and status. Unlike Batman, he has had a humble beginning and was not born with a golden spoon in his mouth. Instead, he has amassed his own money and is not the type to let it go. And if he has to blow up Arkham Asylum and the City Hall for it, then so be it. The CEO of Saint Industries excels in business management, so much so that he threw Gotham City into chaos to sell his Magistrate program to the mayor. Modeled after Steve Jobs, a charismatic leader in the field of technology, Simon Saint is also brimming with charisma. Even though he is a terrible person, he's able to make his impact on the mayor quite soon with his grand talks about the future, a future without masked vigilantes and chaos in Gotham City. He was also present in the Catwoman comics created by Ram V and Fernando Blanco. He had gotten Poison Ivy as his captive and was using her unique genetic build to create a drug that would take over the streets of Gotham. Knowing the type of evil Simon is, it is safe to say that the drug would be devastating for the masses, causing the people to spend their fortunes on it and putting their own livelihoods on the line. In the issue, Catwoman saves Poison Ivy and steals a high-value artwork, which evokes a strange response out of one of Simon's underlings known as Siddharth Roy. Dr. Roy knows that he has failed since Poison Ivy is now free before being killed. He assesses the terrible trouble he's in because sooner or later, Simon Saint will find out about this. As he speaks with Selena Kyle, he mentions how frightening Simon Saint can be when he is displeased and shoots himself in front of Catwoman. The fact that he would take his own life to not go through the tantrums of a displeased Simon Saint speaks volumes about the man Simon truly is. Simon Saint starts off as a genius villain who definitely has the potential to play a huge role in DC. However, writer James Tynion IV does not shy from taking huge risks with his super ambitious and dystopian storylines. And in these stories, nothing is predictable. As a result, Simon Saint does not go on to be a long-term top-shot villain. Instead, he dies at the hands of a man named Victor, who only kills Simon to lure Batman in. If you've liked our content today, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks.